Hey, this is Colin with Connect the Watts, and today I want to discuss about some brand new and really interesting information discussed in a recent interview with Jill Woodworth, who is the CFO of Peloton. She had this interview at the Bank of America Merrill Lynch 2021 Global Technology Conference just the other day, and the transcript is up on seekingalpha.com. And so what I want to do is read over a lot of this information. It's a fairly long interview, but there are some key points that she talks about that are very interesting, in particular regarding the Tread and when that might be coming out, as well as some of their new strength products and what I think she's referring to in terms of the new Strive wearable. All right, so let's go right into the first part where she's really talking about their market space and how big they can grow and where they're at now. And so here's some of what she has to say. She says, quote, "We believe that the future of fitness is home connected fitness, better experience, better location," which by the way, we think is even more relevant as our lives get busier coming out of COVID, and better value. You saw last quarter that our subscribers were working out with us 26 times on average per month. Now, real quick before we continue on, the 26 workouts on average per month is a bit of a stretch. It doesn't take away from Peloton's growth, which is absolutely incredible, but I'll have to show you sometime how they come up with that 26 workouts per month per member number. And it's not a lie, but it's as far from the truth as you could get. That's not a lie. It's a very big stretch, but still incredible numbers for Peloton. Let's continue. We've tackled the addressable market in two different ways, right? You've seen our bottoms up work that we've done to calculate TAM and SAM, which is just referring to the size of the market, which is about 20 million units in the four markets that we're currently in, which represents about 15 million households. So this is actually pretty interesting because they've talked in the past about how much they want to grow their membership, but here they're saying that they really only expect that their total serviceable market currently is about 15 million households. And they have about 2 million connected fitness households already. So it's actually looking like their growth potential isn't necessarily going to be quite as huge as maybe they were discussing a little while ago, at least until they break into new markets. That's not obviously talking about the expanded service of their clothing, more products that they could offer current members and households. But I thought that it's the first time I've seen that 15 million household market limit discussed, or serviceable market limit discussed by Jill. So let's continue. Now, the next interesting thing was when she said this. Well, actually, we also just made some additional progress that you may have seen yesterday. We did change our Bike Plus delivery timeframe to 1 to 3 weeks. And that's brand new because, as you may have or may not have known, they had reduced the original bike times down to 1 to 3 weeks a little while ago, but the Bike Plus was still taking quite a long time. I know some people who've been waiting, several months still to get theirs, but they're saying that they got that time delivery down now to 1 to 3 weeks. And if you go to their website, it shows it, 1 to 3 week delivery. And actually, they've adjusted their original bike delivery to an under 2 week delivery, which is, really good for them. And let's continue on when she says, what this means is that we're going to be able to market both products in the portfolio. And because we know clearly that with longer OTDs, right, we did leave some sales on the table. And this is also kind of an interesting to talk about, like, what did Peloton leave on the table with their manufacturing capabilities being limited in this past year? Because many people obviously would argue that Peloton has grown incredibly because of the pandemic, but there are some on the other hand that I kind of think are a little bit right, that while the pandemic might have helped a bit with Peloton's growth, it might have actually hurt them more in the long run, because it introduced the connected fitness movement to so many people so rapidly that Peloton lost a lot of market share that they might have otherwise been able to grab had it been, a slower ramp up in interest over time. And so there was a lot of companies like Ergata, our Hydro, and iFit is still capturing more of the market. So there are a lot of other companies that were able to really kind of hold on and capture probably more market share than they might have otherwise had Peloton not been so constrained in their manufacturing. So it's been very important for them to figure this out, to be able to get their products out to people as the demand has risen. And so now it looks like they finally did that. And the question is, how much did they really lose over this past year? Or was it even significant in the longer picture? So it's really interesting to look at all of this information. But let's continue, because this is where it gets really interesting when she talks about some of their new products. So let's go right into that. Now, she says, we've made a lot of great tuck-in acquisitions over the course of the last several months to really accelerate our investments in R&D and new products. We have a lot of exciting things sitting in our R&D lab, but of course, for next year, as I mentioned, we're really excited about getting the Tread launch, which we know is a 2 to 3 times bigger market than the bike. The treadmill market is bigger than the bike. However, there is a lot more competition to break through there. It'll be interesting to see, how big Peloton's tread push will be when they actually get those products out and, figure out how to, make them up to par in terms of safety, so that way people feel comfortable buying them and they can re-release it. Let's look a little bit more, because this is the good part, because she's still talking about product evolution. So she says here, we also during homecoming launched the Strive Score. One of the complaints or asks very early on with Tread was, how do I stay tethered to this experience and get credit when I am off of the tread? So Strive Score with a heart rate monitor allows someone to feel very tethered and helps really increase their accountability when they're not on the tread. So super excited about products. So obviously she's talking about new products here. She's talking about Strive Score here. We know that, this year they had acquired several wearables companies, right? Like Latitude 32. They also acquired Atlas earlier this year. So the fact that she's talking about Strive Score in relation to their new product launches and ideas, I think many of us already predict this, and I think it's kind of obvious that the Strive Score is really there as a catalyst for something much bigger, which I believe is going to be part of a wearable that'll help track your Strive Score off of the bike or the tread, because to be honest, the Strive Score, when you just have it with a class, is not that useful. But if you have it in conjunction or in line with everything else of the day or the week or the month, it becomes very similar to data as a company like Whoop can use to kind of let you know about your recovery and how you're doing and how much you should train. And so if they're trying to make a Whoop competitor, the Strive Score makes a ton of sense to implement right now. And it's really what I think is going to happen. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that wearable coming, being one of their first launches coming next. But let's continue, because she does have some more interesting things to say. So market expansion, we talked a lot about. We are getting into Australia pretty soon here in the coming months. We're very excited about that. And we have global ambitions, but we want to be smart about it. So we probably will target 1 to 2 markets per year. And we really need to make sure that as we get into these smaller markets, we evaluate the ability to Peloton to drive meaningful sales, which means we have to look at a lot of different elements of these different countries and how we can fit into that and what part of our vertical stack we actually use. So this is actually a very interesting way to put this. When Peloton goes into a market, because they want to be a lifestyle brand, right? Everything is part of everything. So there's a bike that gets you introduced, or maybe you just start with a digital app and then you have the bike and then you see the clothes and the membership and then you get more products, and it just loops into a big part of people's lives, and it creates the lifetime value of customers really exponentially. And so that's what Peloton is really trying to do here, is create that lifestyle brand. And so when they go into a country or into a market, They have this very big vertical slice of things they want to be able to sell those customers, but it's not that easy because in different markets, in different countries, there's different ways of doing things to really get that fanaticism that they've, captured obviously in the United States. Different music, they have to have different licenses, they have to have different ways of branding, marketing, coaching. All that makes sense relative to the culture that they're trying to market in, or else, they could just ship their products over to different places, but I don't think they would see the success that they see in the US. And now she's talking about these smaller countries or smaller markets that they might not do a full launch like they do in some of the bigger countries or bigger markets. She's saying maybe a piece of the vertical slice. So maybe they'll just have the digital app or just have, bikes and treads, but maybe not the full, the full thing, because it's not really meaningfully worth it to them to have everything kind of centered around, the smaller markets, which makes sense. Now, speaking of vertical integration, the one thing that Peloton has yet to really jump into is the nutrition and supplement side of things. And that is obviously a huge component of fitness. So it'd be interesting to see if they add that at some point to that big slice. It would make a lot of sense if they did. But if you are looking for some really good quality supplements, I want to let you know that we do have a discounted rate with one of my favorite companies, Prestige Labs. You can check them out in the description below. They have all kinds of stuff like protein powders, thermogenics. They have pre-workouts, intra supplements, all kinds of stuff. We have been taking it at my gym for over the past year, and we've gotten really good results with it. We love it. If you use the link below, you get like 25 to 50% off of whatever the rates are on their website. So check it out if you're interested. Otherwise, let's move on. So this was the interesting part I thought here too. So they're talking about the ability to sell pre-owned or refurbished products, because that was an original idea from Peloton, was people to bring down the price and expand their bikes by being able to sell a lot of refurbished bikes. But the problem, and it's not really a problem for them, is that they haven't been able to get enough refurbished bikes. So she says, you mentioned refurbished. Of course, it's always in the back of our minds, but we need product in order to do that. And we still don't have enough certified pre-owned product to viably pursue that strategy at this time. But it is 100% on the roadmap, and we think will be an incredible way to drive accessibility at a lower price point for our products over time. So super excited about it, but that's probably a little further down the road for us. So yeah, they just don't have the supply to be able to sell refurbished bikes or treads continuously. They did recently on Memorial Day sell some refurbished bikes to people who were digital app users, but that was just a small supply they were just trying to get rid of. I don't know if you're going to be able to get that used refurbished market anytime soon, just because people are keeping their bikes or they're selling them third party and not returning them back. So super interesting. Let's continue on. So they talk about manufacturing for quite a while here. The acquisition of Precor. Basically, the Precor is a big manufacturing company they acquired earlier in the year that they're getting set up and ramping up to be able to make, bikes and treadmills in the US starting as soon as the end of the year. And they're also obviously discussed their brand new output park, which is being built right now and is absolutely a huge manufacturing plant. I made a video about it, but that won't be ready probably until closer to 2023. So let's kind of skip by that and let's go into a few other things about the treadmill, I believe. She talked a bit about the timeline for when the treads are going to be re-released. So I think it's here. Okay, here we go. So two quick things I want to clarify. There were two very different recalls, and I'm going to talk about the lower price tread since that is more imminent for us here. And so really what the two different recalls she's talking about was for the Tread and the Tread Plus. The Tread was recalled because there was a weird screw issue that was making the screens just fall off on people when they were running. And that can be very easily fixed by getting a better screw, or, it's not a huge fix. The second fix for the Tread Plus, obviously, that's the one that was kind of sucking up kids or anything behind it. That is going to require a bit more research and testing for them to really get that right. And so here she says, the timeline has not changed from what we've communicated on our last earnings call, which we believe in mid to late July that we'll be able to relaunch in the UK and Canada and go ahead with our launch in the US. This is talking about the Tread, not the Tread Plus. But Tread Plus is going to take a little bit more time. We've already implemented the over-the-air PIN code a few weeks ago that helps deter unauthorized access or use of the unit. But in terms of the hardware solution to be a leader in safety in this industry, it's going to take us several months to come up with a great solution. And so I can't actually put a pinpoint time frame on that, but it's several months away. Now, if it's several months away for them to find a solution, it'll then take a little while to be able to manufacture that, make sure it's tested in safety, and to roll it out. So I'm not saying that it's impossible for the Peloton Tread Plus to be available again this year at some point, but I don't think it's very likely. And so unfortunately, I know many people are really wanting to get a Peloton Tread Plus. You might need to look at some other options, or you're just going to have to wait a little bit longer, because it would be very difficult based on the time frame, based on what they'd have to do to get these out, for them to be able to roll out the new Peloton Tread Plus by the end of the year. I think you're much, much more likely to be looking at the first few months or a little bit later of 2022. But who knows? Hopefully we get some more news about this soon. But yeah, you can definitely check out. I'll put a link to this article in the description below. There's a lot that I didn't cover that she went over, and it's probably one of the more interesting interviews that I've seen from Peloton or from Jill in a very, very long time. So I definitely suggest, if you like learning about Peloton, the company, and what's going on, definitely check it out, because it's very insightful. But yeah, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to press that like button and subscribe to the channel so that I know that you like it, and I'll make more types of content like this. And otherwise, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.